Welcome to another episode of Sacred Reveries. I'm Jess DuBose.
And I'm Zarina Zertuche. And today we're talking about
The value of people you can fall apart with and how that relates to spirituality. We, the other day I was talking to Zarina about how I was just really grateful. It's not even just grateful. In the moment, my whole being fell apart in her presence because I've been going through a lot of things. And so when I saw her on the video screen, I just almost started crying and I was just like, ah! And because I can just fall apart in front of her. And so then we were like, oh, we should do a podcast on that.
and as you're talking, I'm realizing there's the value of the person, right? There's the value of the space being held to just release, fall apart, just be in all the things that you have to be in, right? Without any input until you're ready. But there's also the value of the process, right? Like not just the person, but the actual internal process and what you get out of those things. So what would you say that was for you? What kind of value does that hold for you, being able to have that in the first place?
The process part of it?
Yeah, just
Yeah.
being able to fall apart. Because I think so many people are moving through the world and we're just trying to hold it together, right? Like we're constantly especially right now, just trying to hold it together. Just I just got to get through this thing. I just got to get through my day. I just got to make it till right. And instead of stopping to be like, no, you know what, I'm gonna let it all fall for a second and not and just fall apart.
It is so freeing
Mm.
to be able to fall apart because of how much energy it takes to hold it all in. I always think about it as like spinning plates, like how much energy
Mm.
it takes to like make sure nothing falls down is so anxiety ridden. And so the moment that I could be like, oh, I could just drop them. It doesn't matter if it breaks. It's fine. Like,
I think they don't break, right? Like we
yes.
think they will, but they often don't, you know?
Really, they're made of plastic and nothing was gonna break in the first place. You know, whatever illusion I had created in my head. But either way, it's just like freeing to be able to be like, "Ah, I'm just gonna cry and be sad or angry or whatever thing that needs to like move through my being is really beautiful. And then whether I'm doing that with a really close friend that I love and hold dear, or myself, or with God or spirit, like any of those spaces that I do that in, it is very freeing to give myself permission to do that.
So then how do you feel, and maybe you said this, but how do you feel afterwards? Like, because I know for me, when I fell apart in the process, like midway, I feel freer. Like I feel
Mm.
lighter. But then there's this shift after I come out of it where I wouldn't call it freedom. Like maybe it's a lightness, but it's all of a sudden it's easier to move through things. Like it's easier to move through the things that was I just need to get through, you know? But now it's it doesn't feel burdensome, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that, or what does it feel like for you?
Yeah, because it's almost like the holding it all together starts creating a dam so then the water
Mhm.
can't flow. And then all of a sudden you release the dam and I was like, oh, now everything feels like I can be in flow again.
Okay, so when I did yoga, we did Kundalini yoga, right? And so we would hold these positions for 11 minutes. And
Mm,
so when
wow.
you went I'm holding the dam, I imagined what my muscles felt like holding the same position for minutes on end. And everything starts burning and firing, and all these things are happening in the body. Like there's reasons why we're doing it. But it got me thinking that's when I finally put my arms down and there's this rush and this lightness because I don't have to hold that position anymore. I think then it's easy to move around. Like I could do whatever, you know what I mean? I think that's the feeling that I get when I fall apart.
And what's really cool about that is it's reminding me that both are needed and neither are wrong. So like the
Totally.
holding it in and the getting to the space of like sometimes it's necessary to be holding it together or to wait for a space where it's appropriate to fall apart. But like both are beautiful in their own right.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously in the like yoga scenario, like there's muscles being built, right? That's like we're inducing a process so that the body has a particular experience. Like I remember listening them to one of my first ones that I did that was really long. They broke it up into 3 minutes. And so you held your arms out. So your elbows and your shoulders were always in that position, but where your hands were changed every 3 minutes. And every 3 minutes the instructor described what was happening in the body. Like, okay, now like this is happening to your lymph nodes. This is happening to your sweat glands. Like this is what's happening in your nerves. You know what I mean? And it showed you we're doing this because we want this particular outcome and because we want to consciously have the body have this experience that is beneficial in the long run, right? Even though it's painful in the short run. And so I think sometimes the choosing to hold onto the things can be for that reason, because you, like you said, you want to wait till you have a place that feels safe or where you're alone or where you're, in an environment that you can do that in the way you want to do it. Um, and I think sometimes like endurance and resilience is also a good practice. One of the things I worry about, like when I look at my siblings or my friends who are much, much, much younger than me is like, are you resilient? Like, can you take the world as it comes at you and keep going in and of yourself? Because obviously, like for me, I have God to help keep me resilient. Not everybody has that, right? And so it becomes like an internal resilience. And so yeah, I think you're right. I think both can be beneficial, but more often than not, I think people push longer than they should. I guess you get both. People who won't hold anything, right? And then people who push too long. And so it's a very Goldilocks moment.
Yes. Yes, it is. It has to be just right. Um, have you had experience where you've fallen apart in front with someone that ended up not being safe or wasn't the right space to do that?
So this is a bigger discussion. Because for me, everything is. But but I'm gonna take that in stages. So the short answer is yes, right? The longer answer is, as you were talking earlier, I was thinking about how falling apart is an act of faith.
It's a what?
It can be an act of faith, right? And so you're hoping, trusting that when you fall apart, nothing is going to be worse, that the reaction you get will be correct, right? But that means having faith in the person or the space. So for me, falling apart, I want to have that faith in God that if I fall apart, he will put me back together. And so from that perspective, like it doesn't matter what somebody else responds, as long as I know internally I'm being held spiritually and energetically despite. Now, I think we absolutely like need to do our work to choose places that are ideal and will most likely, be able to hold that space for us. But the reality is that a lot of people aren't going to respond the exact way that you want. And so I have never, I don't want to say never because maybe I'm not thinking of a place, but I can't think of a time where I fell apart and I felt completely unsafe. Like where I immediately am like, that's it, I'm closing, there's no way, right? Like it's over. I'm walking out, walking away, we're done. You know? Um, and definitely have had multiple times where I was vulnerable or fell apart and the person misunderstood it. So they either thought that it was their fault, right? Or they were taking my falling apart as like something they did and they wanted not to fix me, but to make me feel better because they were like, wait a minute. Or I've had people also take offense. So instead of it's my fault, you've fallen apart, I'm going to make you feel better. It's my fault, you've fallen apart. And now I'm angry at you because you're blaming this on me.
Yeah.
When that was never the intention, right? In that particular, the first one I'm thinking of in that particular instance, I remember it was a buildup of things I had not said to this person and things in the dynamic that weren't addressed. And so addressing them at a point that was like, now I was critical, I could not take it anymore, I think made the expression harsher and more intense for the other person than necessary because I was already at my end,
Right.
you know? Um, and I didn't need them to change. I just needed them to know why I was changing. Right. So, um, so to answer your question, yes, but I think it like life, it's very nuanced, right?
Of course.
But what about you? Can you think of an example?
Um, Before I answer that question, what you just said was really powerful for me. The like, I didn't need them to change. I needed them to understand why I was changing.
Oh God, you saying it back is gonna make me cry. Wow.
Yes, that's why I was like, we're
We
not glossing
should.
over that. That was huge. Because I think this is a whole other conversation, but I think we get boundaries twisted all the time.
Totally.
Because we're like, I'm making a boundary because you're doing wrong. It's like, no, no, I can only control me. So I don't need you to change. I'm not asking you to change. I'm letting you know why I'm changing. Holy shit.
Yeah.
And sometimes people don't take that very well.
No. And in fact, I feel like sometimes people are more offended by that than by what they're used to, which is people who are like, I need you to change. You're not doing what I want. You're not showing up the way that I want. You're not nurturing me the way that I want, right? Like you're not loving me the way that I want. Um, but to say, I understand who you are and I cannot force you to change. It's not even my job to try, right? My job is to adjust to the dynamic and the circumstances that I'm in and to make choices for myself so that I can live a life I want to live in an environment and the energy I want to live in, right?
I'm teary too. Wow.
And that's like that's terrifying to do sometimes, right?
Yes.
Because it means like wherever the chips fall, I'm running with it because this is what I want. And I think so many times I'll say for myself in my life when I have not had boundaries, so many times it was because I was scared of what would happen when all the chips fell. I was scared of what I would lose. I was scared of who I would lose.
Yeah.
I was scared of the creature comforts and the dynamics that I had that I was used to by not saying those things.
Mhm.
I mean, we all make choices, right? So I feel like if somebody consciously is like, look, I'm willing to put up with this negativity or this dynamic I don't really want, but I recognize the emotional, the tangible, the social, the financial benefits I'm getting from it. And I realize I'm trading and I'm going to do it consciously. I'm like, go on, live your life, do your thing, right? Because you're choosing it. You're
Yes.
choosing your life. And that is the whole point, right? Is to recognize where you have choice and that you always have a choice, right? You're making the conscious effort to steer your boat no matter what anybody else in their boat is doing. Like that's always true. I was talking to a friend the other day about somebody who we've known, through the years, whatever. And they're from one person's perspective, they're in a marriage that they're not happy in.
Mm.
or is not the marriage they would have chosen. They were in love with somebody else and they really wanted to be with that person and they couldn't. And then they met somebody and this third party feels like they settled, right? And I was like, I don't see that at all. Like, I see this person loving their spouse, showing up for their spouse, showing up for their family, showing up for their kids. And the alternate third party was like, I think they're just doing that because they have to. And I was
Mhm.
like, they don't have to. What are you talking about? They don't have to. There is plenty of people in the world in that dynamic who choose not to show up, who choose not to be in it, who choose not to try, who choose not to love the people who are in front of them that they've chosen to love the best that they can. Like, to me, that's really admirable, right?
Yeah.
There's a part of that effort and that acknowledgement of the joy and the gifts that they contribute to their life and that they want to give back that is really beautiful. But the reality is, like, could walk out tomorrow and decide this is not the marriage I want to be in,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I It is easy to philosophically talk about this conversation, but when I apply it to very specific things in my life, oh, they hurt. Because I think about that, like, I love the concept that, like, we don't owe anybody anything. And people feel like they are owed or owe people something all the time, including myself. And so, like, I'm not yet a parent, but I think about this in the context of parenthood. Uh, like, moms all the time are like, I have to, blah, blah, blah. I have to. No, you don't. You're choosing to. You could leave. You don't have to take care of your kids. You don't have to do anything, but you're choosing it because you can't consider even doing something else, which is beautiful. But also, like, there is no have to about it. And so then I think about, okay, if I believe what I say I believe, which is the thing that I keep working on in myself because I see the inconsistencies everywhere right now, and it's infuriating and also really beautiful.
Infuriating. It's the word to use for sure.
Um, but I'm seeing where in different relationships I still feel like certain people owe me stuff. Like, oh,
Mm.
this person said they were my friends, so they should be showing up for me. This person is my relative, and they should be showing up in this certain way, and they're not. And so now I'm mad about it. And da, 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 da. And yes, I get to have my feelings about it, but also they don't owe me anything. Fuck.
Yeah, I agree with you 1,000% because we get to have our feelings because those are things we want, but putting the responsibility on them is a different story, right? Um, and I mean I guess that's really why we're here. Like, you and I are here, right? Because the applying it to your life is really where the rubber meets the road. Like, the idea is beautiful, but how do you live that thing?
Yeah.
Right? And how do you live that thing in a way where you're not using it like as a goalpost you'll never meet, as a whip for how you've done everything wrong, or as a crutch for why you get to do whatever you want and nothing else matters. Yeah, because any tool can be used positively or negatively, and we as humans are so good at rationalizing why that thing should be done a certain way. And so the nuance, like, you and I always talk about the nuance, but the nuance usually comes back to, like, what is the energy and intention of what you're doing it with?
Yes.
Because the mom who is like, I have to do this for my kids. I have to, right? I have to sleep 2 hours. I have to. And maybe there's days where you literally do because there's nobody else to get up and feed your child, right? But the saying I have to is actually, I feel like, disempowering,
Yes.
right? And so instead being like, I want to love my kids this way, and I'm willing to get up and sleep 2 hours to take care of them is far more empowering and fought, like you can feel the energy difference, right? Like when you say it in your body, in your being, in your mind, and all parts of you will show up because you're like, I'm doing this, right? Because you're making a choice and you're moving forward. When you're like, I have to, the energy can't come together for you. You're like dragging yourself through the process, which is just making it that much harder, unfortunately, right?
Yes, and this language shift I teach to my clients all the time, switching I have to I get to because of that empowerment piece. And when you say I get to, sometimes it can feel a little like fake. Like, I get to clean the litter box. Like, who the fuck wants to do that? But when I tap into the why, it's like, I chose to have cats. I really want to have cats. And they get to have a really nice place to go to the bathroom because how gross is it to not? And so instead of I have to, that like changes the energy completely to be like, oh, I get to go do this because I love my cats.
Totally. I'm totally with you. I think like for me, when I say I get to, I resonate with it as an opportunity.
Yeah,
Sometimes I want to use that, and sometimes it feels fake because it doesn't, I mean, all of life is an opportunity, but it doesn't feel like a fun opportunity.
sure.
Do you know what I mean? And but I'm like, I'm an Aries, so I'm like, do the thing. So I'm just like, I want to.
Yeah,
I want to clean the litter box because I want to take care of my little fur ball.
yeah.
Like I want to sweep the floor because I want to live in a clean house, right? Like, um, and so I think, everybody gets to find like their word, right? And I
Yes.
would encourage experimenting with what those words really look like. Like maybe it's I choose to. Maybe it's like, oh, this is so interesting. So what my brain thought was not even, went on a totally different track, and it was like, I'm built for,
Ooh.
right? Like that's a totally different energy. I am purposed to do X, right? Like, oh, that's like a totally different vibe.
And you can use different words in different contexts.
In different contexts, totally. Yeah. But how much more enlivening, energizing, empowering is that than like I have to? Like,
Yeah,
just the idea of saying I have to makes me tired.
exactly. That energetic is like so heavy and obligatory. And then it's like you can step into the drama triangle and be like the victim to your circumstances instead of empowering yourself to be the creator of your own life.
So now I've been doing like work forever, right? And I did not know what the drama triangle is. So maybe you should explain what the drama triangle is.
Um, uh, the drama triangle is um well, there's a triangle and on each point there's a different thing. So there's the villain, the victim, and the hero. And there's so much nuance, and I could literally talk for hours about the drama triangle. So I'll give you the like short part of it. It's you can play in the drama triangle all by yourself, right? So let's use the litter box scenario because it's the one that's on my mind for some reason. And it's an easy one to play with. I'm gonna play in the drama triangle all by myself. I have to clean the litter box. Woe is my life. Now I'm a victim to my circumstances, and that means I'm making my cat's the villain in the scenario. I don't know, but the litter box itself is the
The
villain.
litter box,
The
yeah.
litter box is the villain. Like, fuck you. I don't want to clean you. And then if I like jump into the hero mode is the one that like changed my life, understanding the hero part of the triangle is like, I'm Superman and I'm gonna come in and save the day and I'm gonna clean all the things and do all these things, but then I'm gonna resent it later because I'm doing this because I feel obligated or I feel like I should get some sort of thanks. My cats aren't gonna fucking thank me. Like but that's what we do with other people, right? I'm going to do
Yeah.
the thing because I'm going to get thanks and gratitude, and they're going to see the amazing thing that I did. And then when they don't, I'm like, what the fuck? I did this thing for you. Why don't you care? And that's how you could play in the drama triangle all by yourself.
Totally. That was a good example because cats are so like flippant. So you'd be like, did you see? Did you see what I did? Did you see how like beautiful it looks now? And they're like, whatever.
I'm gonna lick my fur.
Totally. So circling back
I know.
to,
What was your original question?
I don't know. I don't know what question we left off on. Oh, yes, I do. We were talking about like examples of when we've fallen apart, but like
Oh,
the afterwards we felt like it either wasn't safe or the person wasn't safe or the response was not like what we were hoping for.
yeah. Yeah. It happens often. And I'm learning the nuances of that. Sometimes it's like a not even a falling apart, it's like a sharing of an excitement of a thing that I haven't like fully fledged out. So then if I'm asking a really curious person and then all of a sudden I feel deflated because I haven't figured it all out yet. Or but even I think too like growing up in a house where I was physically safe, but I wasn't very emotionally safe. Um has very much tailored the way that I had shown up in the world for a really long time, and I'm working to change that. But I would often get accused that my tears were being used for manipulation. Um,
Wow.
yeah. And for me, I cry all the time for everything. As much as I was told that, it's really amazing that I never just shut it down. I don't know what it is about me that was just like, no, I'm just gonna cry anyways. I'm really grateful for that because it is the part of how I process personally. Like I process the world through tears. Like happy tears, sad tears, excited. Like I cry all the
All
time.
the things. Yeah. I'm a crier. Yeah, I
Yeah,
get
I
that.
just am a
Totally.
crier. And it is really like cathartic and not just cathartic, but like I was talking about this last night. Like I feel better, but also like it's not just feeling better after. Like I feel good crying, even though it sucks and it's shitty to have snot all on your nose and like tears coming down your face. It's not fun, but it also feels good to do it. And a lot of people I feel like avoid it because it's like, "Oh, I don't want to cry ever. And that's okay. But like for me, having that like you're using your tears to manipulate me, made it so that it wasn't really emotionally safe to just melt and fall apart in front of certain people in my family. And so then I think I've been trying to create that ever since, like create the safe family space. And I'm so grateful now. Like there's so many beautiful friendships in my life where I can do that. I can just fall apart and cry. But there's places where I've tested it out and it didn't work very well. And to Zarina's point, it worked out in my favor regardless. Like everything is of service to me. Even if it felt like in the moment it didn't, or it sucked, or I didn't get the reaction I was needing, or whatever was happening, it was all in service to me. But also, um, building that trust with people takes me a little longer now. I don't know if that's a bad thing. Well, and if I believe what I say, I believe there is no good or bad, but um, I don't know if I want to change it. That's a better way to say that.
I don't know if there's a right or wrong
Yeah.
in that perspective.
Yeah.
A lot of people will talk about like it's not vulnerability dumping, but it's similar where you just like you say so much all at one time and it's like it can be overwhelmed for the other person who doesn't know you and isn't prepared to be like this deep and hold that kind of space for you. Um, and then you have the opposite where like you can't get somebody to tell you anything about how they feel. And so I think again, there's like a Goldilocks place, right? And we all get to decide what that's going to be.
Yeah.
But I think the like idea of being open to being open being open to being vulnerable when it feels safe to do so, and or when it feels appropriate because like you need to set a boundary, or you need to redirect your energy, or you're choosing something specific in your life is really important, because sometimes like the uncomfortable conversation is a conversation that needs to be had. Just
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
um And some people, their energy with your energy, you just naturally feel safe. And
Yeah.
so, the more you like, I feel like the more we learn ourselves, the more it's easier to pay attention to things in other people and have a better idea of when safety really is there, or when there's an opportunity that really is like true to be able to do something like that.
Yeah.
But then that's why these people, right? People like you, these people who um understand the value, understand like the vulnerability you're in to do that with them, give you that, like they become like angels, right? In your life. Like they're just so valuable. And so I think for a person, like with somebody else, what stops us is it safe? Am I afraid, not afraid to actually be that vulnerable, to talk about things that like are purely internal, right? I think sometimes the speaking it out loud is scarier, but like the afterwards, that's what I was going to say earlier, is like I feel like there's a power in saying things, and there's a disempowerment of the frenetic, chaotic energy when it's not just cycling in your head and you can actually say it out loud, right? Um, but going back, like the fear, that is it safe, right? Those are all reasons like we would not fall apart with a person, but should we be falling apart with God, not just by ourselves? Like that's also a question. And what does that look like? And why wouldn't people do that? Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like some people will just cut off a relationship with God because something tragic happened and they can't foresee how God would let that happen. Instead of going to God and rallying and letting Him hold like all your crazy and all your anger and all your fear and all the ways you don't understand, and demanding, quote unquote, like I feel like when I demand, like Jesus just smiles at me, like he knows my heart, like he knows my warrior spirit and he expects no less than demanding. But and so I feel like it's okay. I often demand, but I don't know if that would be the same for everybody. But yeah, I think even me, particularly not when I'm angry, but particularly like in grief process, there's been plenty of times I should have went to God far sooner,
Mm.
like far sooner. Instead, I was like, I want to feel that. I don't want to hear from you. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to be there. Don't tell me what you need from me. Like the little kid, I didn't get what I need from you. Don't tell me what you need from me. you know?
Yeah.
And that's real. I mean, that's like real.
That is so real. I was thinking too, like you were listing the reasons why we might not fall apart in front of a person. And I was like, I have really high expectations of what space holding looks like. And I was thinking about, first of all, this sounds really pompous to say, but I'm really good at holding space for people.
Well, I think you've been trained to do that, right? And most people haven't.
Have I been
Most
trained? I don't
I feel like you have. I feel like you have.
fair.
I feel like the people that you've done coaching with, the experiences you've put yourself through, so many of those things like train you on how to hold space.
Yeah.
But for somebody who doesn't even know if they're holding space for somebody else or what that's supposed to look like maybe could you explain that a little bit? Or
Well,
maybe tell us what holding space well looks like.
yeah, and I think the other part of the training piece is that God holds space for me really well. So between God and the training that I've gotten and the practice that I have all the time, like people fall apart on me all the time. Like
Yeah.
people often say, I've never told anybody this before. It's the first time they've ever had a conversation with me ever. Like this is my daily life. Um, and there's energetics to that and whatever, but like it's
I still think there's gifting in that. Like,
mm,
like I would say that of myself, and not even as a little kid.
yeah.
Like adults telling me things about their life that I'm just like, what advice do I have to give you at 9 years old? Like, really? Do you know what I mean? Like,
You just picture 9-year old Zarina thinking that. Exactly. What advice do I have to give you? I'm only 9.
no, I was too stubborn for that. I think about that as myself
Got it.
now. But then I was like listening intently, like, yes, I understand how silly I am.
Uh, um, but the holding space, like being witnessed, there's something really powerful in being witnessed. And being witnessed isn't about changing anything. It's not about fixing anything. It's not about doing anything. It is literally creating like a container for someone to move in so it's like they know that they're not gonna like fly off into the atmosphere. Like it's like this is there was a study done about, I promise this connects, playgrounds um where kids played on the playground, and playgrounds that didn't have fences, kids would use like stay in the center of the playground, but playgrounds that had fences, they would use the entire place to play. And I feel like um sorry, go ahead.
No, sorry, that was just landing. Like the reality of that was landing in my brain. Keep going.
Yeah. So when I'm holding space for someone, I'm creating the fences so that you can play in the entire space and feel free to play in the entire space and know that you're not going to venture off into some dangerous place or fly off into the atmosphere or cry forever or whatever it is that the fear is. So then there's some parameters, which makes it even safer to just fall apart. And then I'm not here, I don't have to fix it, I don't have to change it. Now, maybe we do later, depending on the scenario, but just being witnessed to being held of like, and that could be physically or just emotionally, where you can sit and cry and share the thing and not have judgment. As I don't like using that word because it means a lot of things to a lot of people, but like there's nothing to do or change. You just get to be exactly as you are, and that's it. And there's something really beautiful about being able to just exist and be with whatever energy, emotion, experience you're having.
So when you are holding space for somebody and you're setting up fences, like, are you telling them what these fences are? Or is this like an energetic fence? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want people who have no concept to like understand functionally. If
Yeah.
I want to be this person for somebody, what does that mean I need to do?
Yeah. Most
Right?
of the time it's an energetic fence.
Mhm.
Um, if I'm in the context of a coaching session with a client or with a group of people where we're having like I was taught how to do something called sacred circle, then we give parameters of like what this means, what this looks like what is said here, people don't talk about outside of here. Like there
Yes.
are parameters. So sometimes there's parameters, sometimes it's just an energetic holding space.
Yeah, you're right. When there's multiple people, especially, that becomes really important.
Yeah.
Um, because I think for me, I stumbled into what holding space is. And because I'm a doer, I have to like sometimes be super conscious about not creating an action plan for you.
Yes.
Uh, and thankfully, like you love me. I don't think I'm always like as conscious as I should be about that. But what I would say is in my body, it feels like being fully present,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yes.
it feels like I'm not paying any attention to anything else but you. Like you have me here with you in the trenches, in the mud, in the dirt, on the ground, like, and I'm just gonna sit here with you until you're ready to get up out of the mud.
Yes.
What does that feel like?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I'm also like you. I often have an action plan, but when you're in the middle of the thing, you're just being.
Yeah.
After you've emoted and feeling, then we usually pivot to the action plan if you want to get out of it. Sometimes you're not in a space to get out of it.
Totally.
Recently, I've been like, nope, I just want to be mad right now. And you're like, okay. And that's just what was happening. And it was actually different for me because I'm not usually a person who stays and sits in the thing for longer. And it actually is really powerful for me to just sit and be with it for a longer time. Um, because I wasn't like trying to just rush through the moving through it part, which is what I used to do. Um,
Yeah, and tell me if this is helpful because I feel like sometimes when you want to stay in the mud, like as your friend, I will be like, not consciously, but like subconsciously, what I'm trying to do is be like, okay, so you want to stay in the mud? Well, then tell me about the mud. Like, let's really be with the mud. Like, you just emoted all the things, but like, tell me like all the curvatures of the mud. How is the mud showing up? Why does it want to be here? Like, you know what I mean? Like, where does the anger start and stop? Like, if we're going to be present with it, like, let's be really present with it then, you know?
yeah, it's it's beautiful. I feel like you are very intuitive, so you are great at asking the questions, and sometimes you're asking them before I feel like I'm ready, but they're always like the little nudges I need to keep going anyways. And
Yeah.
that's where the practice comes into play.
Yes.
Because every person is different.
Yes, because that would not be true, I think, of everyone.
Yes.
Um,
And because
and
we have a beautiful friendship, there's like implied consent, where
yes,
with other people, like consent is very important in this whole conversation.
so that's part of the fencing. Like
Yes.
consent, I think, is a good place to start for the fencing as well. Yeah. And that can look like, what do you need from me?
Yes.
Right? Do you want me just to listen? Like, are you open to feedback? Do you want, how is it best for me to support you? Right? Like you know, there's plenty of times I will ramble at you for 3 minutes and then I'll be like, I just needed to get that out of my brain. Thank you so much for listening. Like, I don't need any feedback. I don't really like feedback is fine because obviously we understand each other and apply consent. But like I'm telling you, like, I just really needed somebody to hear me and for me to know somebody heard me
Yeah.
so that I'm not in the chaos. I immediately feel like I'm not in the chaos anymore just because I know psychically you were there with me. It's so interesting, right?
Yes. And like, and you're already hinting at it, but that consent goes both ways. So as a space holder, there's consent in like how can I support you? But in the person who's seeking to be held, I can just be like, one of the things that I heard somewhere at some point was like it takes kind of like 8 minutes to be witnessed, like held in a thing.
Mm,
And so
that's
sometimes
helpful.
there was a friend of mine that I would just be like, do you have 8 minutes? And then that would be the like thing to be like, I don't really need a whole lot. I just need someone to hear and witness me. And if you got 8 minutes to do that, we don't have to sit on the phone for hours. I just need 10 minutes of your time. And then we would be done. Or sometimes we talk longer, but like being very clear about this is what I need right now. I need someone to hold my space with me. I don't need it to be fixed. I don't need it to be changed. I just need to be witnessed. Do you have
This
space
is
for that?
such a good point. Like consent from the person sharing on the front end, like them, the person sharing getting consent, because that's one way to help make sure you're in a safe space, right? Is like, can I do this? Can it look like this? Right? I love that.
Yeah. And that takes knowing yourself too.
Yeah.
It's fucking scary to ask for that sometimes. Like, I just really need someone to hold space for me right now. Do you have a minute? Do you have a few minutes to hold space with me? Can I get a hug? Like, I'm learning how to do that more, living physically with somebody right now. I'm like, oh, I need some time. I'm like, do you have a minute? There was, my grandmother died a few months ago, and while I wasn't falling apart about that. She was old. She lived a long life. I have a really interesting relationship about death. We need to do a podcast on death. Um, I have a really interesting relationship with death, but the feelings I was having was the fear of responses I was going to get from the people who were still alive. And so I was having a lot of feelings about that. And I happened to be living with my roommate only for a couple months at that point, and I was like, "Hey, do you have a minute?" And she saw that I was crying. She's like, "Yeah." And then she just sat with me on the couch and gave me her full attention and gave me a hug and just listened to me say the things I needed to say. It was really beautiful.
I think it's important to note too that some people won't know to ask that,
Yes.
right? And so I think, okay, so one thing, not knowing yourself, like like the asking could look like, I need 8 minutes. I'm not entirely sure what I need, but if you could just listen to me, that would be really helpful. And then as you emote, you will probably get insights into how the parameters of what you need better, right? Some people who are comfortable with you will just emote and not ask. They'll just start emoting. And before you know it, you're headlong in their release, right? And maybe that's okay. And you have the availability, like energetically, mentally, socially, to hold space for them, and then you're fine. But sometimes you won't. And so understanding that you can say, I'm so sorry to pause you. I can't hold all of this for you right now, but I want to. Can we come back to this at another time? Are you okay with pausing this so that I can be fully present for you later or at a particular time or whatever it is, right? And for me, like there's times when I'm just honest, I was just bulldozed. And so I'm already mid processing something for myself.
Well, as a person who's seeking to be held, um, because I'm externally processed and very much appreciate being held, um, at one point I had some high expectations about one person being the person to be able to do that, my ex-husband, for instance. And I realized like one person can't be available all the time. So I'm very much have lots of different people in my space. Part of that is very because like, oh, Zarina's not available right now. Maybe so and so's available right now, or this person's available. And I will just mass text all of them and be like, hey, do you have 8 minutes? And then whoever responds is the one I'm gonna call. And there's something really beautiful about that. It's like, okay, I am not expecting anyone, I'm not expecting anyone to respond, but if someone does, then it's great. So that's one thing too, is like making sure that you're not making just one person that person who can do that, because not one person can be your everything all the time in all the ways. Hi, Shiloh. If you're just listening, the kitty cat decided to join us. Um,
So I guess
yeah, but that was not your question.
no, it wasn't, but that was really helpful. I think the people who just emote are often people who haven't gone through the process, you know,
Mhm.
who don't understand like the functional process of holding space and how valuable it is. And so I feel like how can we not educate them when they're in the middle of emoting, but how can we transition them in a way that doesn't offend them and shut them down? And
Oh,
do you know what I mean? Like, because obviously they usually they will be people we care about. Otherwise, why would they come to us in the first place?
yeah.
Right. Um, and we want them to feel supported, you know, if there's somebody that we love. Um, but sometimes it's really like not functional. Like me as an empath, like I take on people's stuff so heavy. And if I'm not energetically prepared to do that, or I'm having a hard day, oh, I'll just be like mid conversation on the floor, like I can't even hear you anymore. you know? And so if they care about you, they don't want that either, but you may not be in a position now midway on the floor, right, to explain all of that either. So I'm trying to like, what are some like transitional things we can give people that they can use when somebody is presenting this to them and it's not
Yeah.
opportune?
I mean, ideally, you're having this conversation when neither of you are in a space. And so then you can have things like, do you have 8 minutes? So then you have like your, what's the word? Safe word kind of thing that is like, oh, I know what this means and I know what this person is asking and what they're looking for. And then I can say, actually, no, I don't right now, but I do in 2 hours, or I do tomorrow, or whatever. And then they can do what they need to do for themselves. But if you don't already have that established and someone's coming and you're not available, that's that is such a difficult place to be in because one, you love the person that is having the meltdown, but you're not in a space to hold them and they're not in a space maybe to receive the no. So it becomes this like very moment for everybody. But I think being gently honest is the most effective always, even if it's not received well, because we can't control how the other person's going to perceive it or receive it or respond to it. And that's usually the fear, right? Like I fear that all the time. It's like, oh, this person's gonna think blah 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 of me or whatever. Like I can't control that. But what I can do is be really honest. Like I hear that you are like having a really hard time, and I'm so sorry. That really sucks. And I am not in a position right now to be able to hold that with you. Um, would you be open to talking about this tomorrow or whenever I actually have time and space?
I like that, gently honest. I think that's really helpful. Like because obviously people have like different styles, but knowing you're honest and trying to be soft in your delivery to somebody who's sensitive is, yeah, you're right. That's the best way to go about it. And I just keep thinking like, I think you can equate to this, but like in my life, like often I've been the pioneer in a group, right? Like I'm the one who's going into these spaces first.
Mm.
And then they're getting like um acclimated to them based on me. But then that means like they haven't had the training I've had. They don't have the understanding I have. They don't know about the 8 minute thing, right? Like, and so they're going to come in how they're going to come in because that's what they know, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's okay. And I think, this is such a good point about you get to be the change you want to see, right? Like, so you get to, so then you can mirror back when you need it with the person you want to mirror that to you and be like, hey, I need 8 minutes. Would you have 8 minutes to hold space for me? And I understand depending on how they reacted to your stopping previously, like the reaction may or may not be what you hope, but it's a way to show them like this is a really positive way for me to receive and hold space for you is if you ask me in this way by
Yeah.
asking them.
And not taking offense if they say no,
Mm-hmm.
which is also a hard thing to do when you're having a moment. And the hard thing about all of this is like you're gonna fuck it up.
Totally. Yes. I would say even expect to fuck it up,
Yeah.
right? And expect it not to go perfect. Like it's it's all a practice. Like, we talk about in yoga, especially in Kundalini yoga, we talk about being the householder. And so that means that we're not in caves where we sit up there and we just meditate all day and we come out of the world. Like the
Mm,
whole goal of Kundalini yoga is to be in the world and hold a particular space of energy,
mm,
right? While enduring the chaos of life.
mm,
And so they call it the householder because you still have a job, you still have a family, you still got to clean, right? And and you're connected to something bigger than you. And so this whole idea that then your life becomes like, then life is the yoga, not just when you're on the mat, like life is your mat. And so practice happens all the time. All of life becomes like this ritual and process of yoga, the stretching of who you are and how you get to connect. And I think the more we remember that, like, even you think about when you're a baby, like your whole existence is practice,
Yeah.
right? Practice eating, practice crying. Do people respond? Do they not respond? Practice crawling, practice walking, right? Like practice writing. We practice through our whole life. And so the idea that something that will just work the first time is I guess it could happen, but it be open to the fact that it's not going to, because the likelihood is that it won't, right? And that's okay.
Yeah, a coach of mine always says test, tweak, polish. Uh,
Test what?
test, tweak, polish.
Tweak, polish. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're like testing it out. Ooh, that kind of worked. That didn't work. That didn't work at all. Let's try again. Let's tweak it. And then, ooh, most of that worked, but we're going to polish it and make it even better. And that's everything. Everything in our life takes practice. Everything. And I think the trap is, especially with the clients that I work with, I don't know if we've talked about this yet, but I'm an ADHD coach. Um, and ADHDers often will get into a space where they do a thing and they're actually really good at it, and so they don't have to practice it as much.
Mm,
But once they hit the thing that they need to practice, it's like, oh, I'm not good at this. I'm done. Like, no, no, no. That just means you need to practice, and that's okay. And relationships are hard, and asking for someone to hold space for you is a really vulnerable thing. It's a very vulnerable. Like what we're talking about is actually super vulnerable. It
mm.
takes so much practice to be the space holder and to ask for space.
Yes. A lot of effort, energy, moving past existing patterns, like so many things. Which is why I really now from this conversation, like believe that so much of doing that is a faith exercise.
Mm.
Like it really is. You're like, I know at the end of this, I would be better for having tried, for having moved in this direction, right? I'm trusting that. I'm trusting. I've seen this work. I've seen the benefit happen. And so I'm going to do this thing. Um, and when you're somebody who's connected, right, then you have additional resources. You have energetic resources to help you to ask if it's the right time to feel into, right? You have all these other intuitive gifts that allow you to help the practice be more aligned
Yeah.
and successful if possible, right?
And going back to what we were trying to touch on before is like being able to do this with God. So even if you don't have a person and you don't have evidence of it working, you can practice with spirit, God, universe, whatever you resonate with, something bigger than yourself and allowing it, him, she, they to hold space for you instead of a person who is um fully human and will fuck it up.
Yes. Yes. And to your point, like you were saying, God is the best space holder, right? That you've ever come across. And I think that's so fascinating because it's really true. Right. Obviously, he's not going to interrupt you falling apart. He's just going to sit and hold space for you, like literally surround you with like goodness and hold space for you to be whatever you need to be and still be there at the end of it, right? Like God's not going anywhere. He's not abandoning you because you're too crazy or scary or too much for him,
Too
right?
angry.
Too angry. I use him. Forget.
Sure.
I think there's also something beautiful about, like we talked about, how when you get to the other side of having fallen apart and emoting, then if it's appropriate, we talk about curiosity or we talk about action. And the thing I know to be true about God and the Holy Spirit, which is what I reference is that it is the directive that comes after falling apart. Well, the directive that comes, anyways, is not harsh. It's not like, do this. It's a whisper. It is a light suggestion of a place to lean into, right? And in context, like that's so beautiful after having held space. And he will wait until you're ready to hear him before he whispers. What? If you're listening, Jess is like making all these faces. And I'm like, wait a minute, I know there's something going on over there.
I don't know if it's a download or a weird connection that I'm making all of a sudden, but I was like trying to capture it all before I could actually articulate what was happening. Um, the this is like having sex.
Okay, I'm paying attention now. Please tell me more.
Sex can be wild and like passionate and lots of feelings and energy and then afterwards there's this like being physically held.
Mm.
And so there's like all these movement and thrashing around, and then there's the like, and then the soft whisper that you were just talking about. Like, do you want to drink some water? Do you have to go pee? Like, that's what it's like.
Totally. Totally. It's just that in sex, both people are emoting,
Yes.
right? It's like the because it's not a falling apart, right? But
Yeah.
it is like this massive movement of energy, which falling apart is,
Yeah.
right? And so it's like this massive movement of energy, and then it's the calm after having released all of that. And then this like whisper of connection for whatever is next,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah. Those are really good point. I like that one.
I know. I was like, wait, what? But yeah,
I always say this often, like we kind of have an idea of what we're going to talk about, and then it always surprises me, like what comes out.
yeah.
I just need to say that. So.
So as the implementation queens that we are, my suggestion to everyone who's listening or watching this is um, to write down 1, 2, 3 takeaways you have from this. Because physically writing it down helps kind of cement it into your being. And then it instead of just consuming content, right? Like we consume content all the time, but what do we actually do with it? And so if you're wanting to make a change or you're wanting to practice holding space or asking for to be held or whatever it is you gleaned from listening to us today, I would encourage you to write it down or tell a friend, ask somebody that is a person you could um hold space with. Be like, "Hey, this is a thing I'm learning about. Would you?" And then come up with your safe word or whatever that is going to be helpful and asking for that in the future.
Yeah, and I think if you're somebody who's loves to journal, like this could be a great opportunity, and you can create for yourself. Well, you could create some prompts, right? But some framework for what does it look like. So how do I feel about holding space? Has anybody ever really held space for me? Have I ever done that for somebody else? What did I think was successful? What did I not like? If I was going to do it again, what would my fencing look like? What would my parameters be? What feels good as an introductory to ask for them, right? And maybe list like 1, 5, however many you think you have, but I put them in priority of like who you want to test first, right? But people who you think might be safe enough to have a conversation about, hey, listen to this part. It had me thinking about holding space, right? And see what they think, and then maybe test it, you know? So, and you're now creating your own safe space to then play and test when you need to.
Play, exactly. All of this can be playful. Like
Totally.
falling apart can be so playful. Like have you like you can be dramatic about it on purpose to have fun with it. Like You could faint on the floor and just throw a temper tantrum. Like, it can be actually really fun to be playing in this space.
Yeah, I'm totally thinking about a toddler who like uses all the things in the space to create like more chaos, more animation, more emphasis for attention, right? Like, so you could easily do that. Some people are audible, like some people, want to scream, some people want to cry, some people need to move, like whatever it means to like fall apart, quote unquote, and get all the energy out. It could be a really fun practice to try things that are atypical for you too, right?
And you don't have to talk.
Yeah, for
Ask
sure.
somebody to sit with you while you cry.
You could ask somebody to go with you while you beat up a tire in the middle of the yard,
Yes.
right? Or while you throw things at glass bottles. I mean, I know they have those places now. I don't know what they're called, but well, you do that kind of stuff,
A
right?
rage room.
A rage room. Yes.
I one time I was helping a client learn how to tap into her rage and anger and letting herself actually feel it. And I had her come over to my place and I wanted to say hassock, but most people don't know what that means. Ottoman footstool. Um, and I put her around it. Um, and then I just had her beat the shit out of it. And it
Mm.
was really powerful for both of us. Me as a space
Okay.
holder to just witness her in her anger and her to actually let herself be witnessed in her anger. It was a really sacred moment.
I totally get that. I have done these kind of like couple workshops, but they're not couples. Like you don't have to be a couple, but you're paired with the opposite sex. So it's for hetero primarily because you're really playing with like masculine and feminine. Um, and what will happen often is they'll do like a women's and then have men come at the end, or they'll do a men's and have women come at the end, right? And it's because like you've gone through all this training and this education and this practice and this delving in, and then the last day the opposing polarity comes in to be able to see if you can implement the things that you have learned and talked about. And there was this one that was like, I will never forget, where I went into a men's group and we were asked as women to leave it all on the table. And they were to stand there in their masculinity like a pillar, like a foundation, and just receive the hurricane. And I remember I tried emoting, and the one of the trainers was like, more. And so I was like, so now I'm like in it, right? Like body movement, yelling, right? And he's like, not enough. You're not giving all of it. And I realized, oh my God, it's hard for me to try to give everything because I'm so used to holding back. I was like, oh, wow. And so finally I leaned all the way in and I just raged on this poor guy. But he stood there like a champ. And his nervous system was so prepared and practiced and built up from that weekend that he just stood there and did not flinch. And it wasn't like he's like, I'm not flinching. He was like, I connected, present, not flinching. And I knew in that moment it was so healing, but I didn't realize till this conversation why it was so healing. And that is literally what we're trying to do for people on a small scale, holding space.
I want to go to a retreat like that.
I'm gonna find one. It's been a minute, but
Oh, I need, oh, that that is something that I desire in a partner is like someone who could just like, no, there's more. Keep coming. I do that for clients often. Like, you're like, okay, I'm ready to move on. No, you're not. Come on, give me more. There's more there. I'm not going
totally,
anywhere.
totally. And you doing it over and over again, right? Is like building up your nervous system to be able to do that. And I think that's part of the thing is that people have not built up going back to resilience, the resilience to be able to witness and be still
Yeah.
at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so when somebody can do that, like wants to do that for you, it's like this huge, it's a huge gift that you're trying to give to somebody.
Yeah. And if you're not in a space that can do that yet, that's okay.
Totally. No, totally. Which is why, like, I really wanted to stay in that portion of like, if you can't, right? What do you do? Because even somebody like me who thinks about it so much, right? And who trains my nervous system regularly, like there are moments where I'm like, and to be fair, they're usually people who are very close to me who I've had in my life a really long time. Because there's a part of me that goes back into an old pattern and I have to consciously try not to. Or if it feels like a stranger, I'm not attached,
Right.
or somebody like a loose acquaintance, like I don't have any emotional attachment to them, how they're going to receive me, how they're going to, all those things. And so it's completely different. But,
A
um,
100%. Because I would say that I would call myself a master space holder, but don't you? I don't think I could hold space for my mom. I don't know. I mean, if she asked me and there was consent, maybe, but I don't know if I could do that.
I also think, again, her asking you that way would indicate a certain level of awareness,
Yeah,
right? Which would make it feel safer and make you feel more
exactly.
capable. Like,
Exactly. Exactly.
1000%.
Yeah.
So,
I
anyway,
like it's beneficial. The consent and asking from both sides is very, very helpful.
totally. Well,
Hmm.
this has been so good. I loved this episode so
Me
much.
too. What is your biggest takeaway from this?
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, that one right now I just shared, like, I had forgotten about that exercise. Um, I haven't been to one of those events. Like, they're often done in tantra communities since before COVID. And so, I think that just reminded me of how powerful that work is when you are coming at it from a really genuine place.
Yeah.
And, it has reminded me that there are people who are deeply dedicated to doing this, like to being able to be a space holder, to being able to be someone who can be vulnerable, right? In from a spiritually connected perspective, right? As an entry point. Um, and like you, like it makes me feel like I want to find the right space for that. Like I'm in such a place now that I come across retreats all the time, but I don't often feel like I need to be there. Like that's my place. But I want to do some like conscious asking to find it. Like I want to find that place again, right? I want to find those places again. With you, so I think that is one. I think another one might be just around understanding where somebody is, like because we talk about it all the time, checking in with yourself and with the other person is never too much. Like
Mm.
it's never too much to stop and ask for consent. Like it's never too much to pause and reflect on what they said and try and feel into what they need, what you need, in the moment. And it's always okay to pivot where you need to pivot. That's really what it is. And it's always okay to pivot and to constantly checking.
Mm.
Because I bulldoze, right? Like I'm a ram. Once I get on the track, sometimes I'm like not asking. I'm just like going, and my intuitive has to really find me and be like, no, 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 no. Like, let's be still. I'm like,
Yep.
okay, you're right. My bad.
Yep. I mean, I'm a bull. I have the same note.
Yeah. But what about you? What is your takeaway?
I think I have a few, but the, the asking or not asking, it's I don't need you to change. I need you to know why I'm changing. That's still sitting in with me heavily. And like a beautiful way. It was like this aha moment slash kick in the butt. I'm like, wait, what? Yes. Okay. I think it's gonna allow me to come to some acceptance with some things that are changing in my life that I'm not necessarily happy about. Um, which is good and beautiful. And then the same as you were just saying, the reminder to like, even if I have implied consent with some people in my life, if I'm feeling unsure or insecure in the moment or off, because I'm going through a really big growth spurt right now, and when I do that, I feel way more insecure. And so I can just
Mm.
check in and ask either to my spirit team or to the person I'm talking to or both.
So, so this is so interesting when you said that. Like my insights were like, well, you are insecure, but not like you're insecure, but you're insecure because when you make a big change, when things are evolving, like things are not solid because they're moving.
Yes.
So they're insecure.
Yes.
Like
Exactly.
literally. And I was
Literally
like, oh,
insecure.
that totally tracks then.
I'm not secure because everything's moving around, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with
Yeah,
that. It's just like, oh, I'm in that moment of insecurity. It's it takes me, I don't have the same anchors as I normally do.
I like that. That was my takeaway now.
Well, thank you all for being here. Oh, appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you for joining us and for listening. And as always, like comment, let us know what you think. If there's things you want to hear about, talk about, let us know. I'll see you next time.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.